drivers, I would say. There is Vassi still can't get past Unser, and there is Parker Johnstone behind him, and there is Mauricio Gugelmin in second place. He's just got past Adrian Fernandez, so he's had traffic of his own to deal with. Meanwhile, Mark Blundell seemed to come through fairly slowly that time. He'd got passed by Andre Ribeiro, and Blundell was struggling to hold off the car of Brian Hurt, who was right behind him as they came past the complete lap 40.
Alex Zanardi, meanwhile, is up in 12th place. The next one on his list is Dario Franchitti, but the team are asking him to look after his brakes a little bit. There is some concern that driving this hard, he could put too much strain on the brakes, and that's something he's going to have to be aware of as the race continues. 41 laps completed so far, and Jimmy Vasser, our race leader, from Maurizio Gugelmin and Michael Andretti. The leader is on his 42nd lap, some 58 laps still to go here in Vancouver. A little under half distance for Jimmy Vasser. His advantage over Maurizio Gugelmin is 3.7 seconds. He'll be pretty happy with that, but he won't be so happy about the fact he's been held up behind Alonso Jr. That car, the black one, is in third place. It's Michael Andretti, and behind him is not much of a gap to Gilles de Ferran. Gilles still running competitively. There is the race leader in the target car, and he's still behind the Penske of Alonso Jr. We've seen this situation now for 2 or 3 laps, and still Vasser can't find a way past.
No, that's very surprising indeed. That car has really been struggling all weekend. Alonso Jr., those guys have been absolutely nowhere, and that's what, half a dozen laps now since the pit stop for Jimmy Vasser. Has not been able to make any real impression on Alonso Jr. His lap times have dropped off considerably. He's doing 57.3 last time around. That's a second or so slower than he was running before. But at this stage, certainly Gugelmin had traffic of his own. He hasn't been able to make any impression either.
Well, Unser's been given the blue and yellow flag, which means you've got a faster car behind you, and to try and let him past at the earliest opportunity. I wonder if we're going to see Unser do anything here. Well, no, he's still not doing it. He wants to stay on that lead lap, doesn't he? He wants to stay in with a chance of being with the leaders at some point later in the race.
Yeah, he's certainly not blocking Alonso Jr. He's not blocking Jimmy Vasser, I should say. Alonso Jr. is just driving the racing line. He's leaving the gaps open. If Vasser wants to make a move down the inside, fine, go for it. Alonso Jr. is not making life difficult for Jimmy Vasser, but Vasser is unable, it seems, to make any real impression on Unser.
Well, we watched this one develop with interest. Of course, I'm sure Vasser's very much got in mind what happened to Alex Zanardi last year when he did try a manoeuvre on a slower car. That was on PJ Jones, as we saw earlier on. It all went wrong for him, put him out of the race. And Vasser is a steady thinker. He won't take big risks to go past. He's also keeping an eye on the gap back to Gugelmin, and in fact, that's not really changing. Gugelmin is not able to take advantage of this situation. It just shows you that Unser is not as far off the pace in the race as he was in qualifying. Well off in qualifying, but in the race there's not such a great difference, and that means that Vasser's lead at the moment is staying fairly healthy. Behind
there are the two, well, I should say 2 race leaders. I shouldn't say 2 race leaders, I suppose. 1 race leader and 1 back marker, which is, it's amazing to call Alonso Jr. 4-time race winner here in the Molson Indy Vancouver, a back marker, but he is in 15th position and still in grave danger of going 1 lap down. The good news for Jimmy Vasser, as you say, Ben, he doesn't want to risk anything. He doesn't want to risk throwing it away, particularly when he knows he has that cushion with Parker Johnstone in between him and the second place car. There he is, Mauricio Gugelmin.
Well, we gather that Jimmy Vasser has just asked his team to request of CART that they give the move over flag to Alonso Jr. He's getting a bit frustrated, sitting behind him at the moment. As they go through, you can see the fastest laps that have been recorded on the last lap. Andretti, in fact, the fastest lap of the leaders just there. Second fastest was de Ferran, and third fastest was Maurizio Gugelmin. So Vasser, again, as you see, being held up a little bit by Alonso Jr., not managing to set the fastest lap at the moment, and that honour has gone to Michael Andretti on the last lap. He still, though, is 6 seconds, just under 6 seconds behind Maurizio Gugelmin in his third place. Then it's de Ferran, Moore, Pruitt, Ribeiro. Blundell, as you can see, is lying in 8th place now. 9th for Herta, 10th for Fittipaldi, and Alex Zanardi has moved up to 11th. He overtook Dario Franchitti, I believe, Jeremy, on that last lap.
Yes, he did indeed. Up into 11th place. Next in his sights then will be Christian Fittipaldi, who's a couple of seconds or so up the road, but I think it won't be long before that margin is eaten up.
It's a shame we're not getting to see Alex's charge through the field. I mean, overtaking, as we know, is hard around here, but he seems to be managing it at the moment. He's got past several top drivers so far, but Richie Hearn is in trouble. Car number 21, the red and white Lola. The young American is in trouble. Let's see what happened here. Oh, there was contact between him and someone else.
Michel Jourdain Jr. was behind him. It looks like those two did make contact, yes, and both coming into the pits.
Well, sort of coming into the pits, yes.
Andre Ribeiro also slowing as well as he came past here. Don't know whether he was right behind Scott Pruitt. I don't know whether there was a coming together there between those two, but certainly as they came past me in turn one, Andre Ribeiro was at much reduced pace. He had been running in 7th place.
Richie Hearn just struggling to get out of his car, get everything unplugged, and then move out of the way. They've got the stationary yellow flags up there and waved yellow on the inside, but it looks as though it's going to stay green for the moment. They should be able to deal with that. Still, the situation remains the same with Jimmy Vasser, the race leader, still behind the back marker, Alonso Jr., but he maintains his advantage over Maurizio Gugelmin and Michael Andretti. Alex Zanardi has moved himself up into 10th position in this race after going down the escape road that you can see right ahead of you there, coming into this hairpin. It's been a great performance, but the yellow we're under is partly as a result of Michel Jourdain and Richie Hearn making contact a moment ago. And we've got a chance to hear from Michel Jourdain in the pits.
Well, you had a problem with Alonso Jr. at the start of the race, but then what happened now with Richie Hearn?
I don't know. I was catching Richie, and Richie catch Adrian, and maybe I think I braked very deep, but maybe Richie braked a little bit earlier because of Adrian, so I hit Richie. And
well, you had a good race going, so I guess you'll hope for better things at Laguna.
Yes, thank you very much.
So disappointment there indeed for Michel Jourdain, but it looks as though we're going green flag racing once again as Jimmy Vasser leads them out of the final corner. Still being chased by Parker Johnson, but he's not in second. Remember, it's Maurizio Gugelmin who is in 2nd place. So the green and white car, forget that for a moment, he's a long way down the order. He's in 15th place. And 2nd place man is the red and white car of Maurizio Gugelmin. So Gugelmin here will be looking to get past Parker Johnson as quickly as possible into the hairpin. Down the inside goes Gugelmin. And that's a good clean manoeuvre. Michael Andretti tries to do the same, and he just squeezes past as well. I wondered for a moment if there was going to be enough space, but the 2nd and 3rd place men safely take their places, and now they can go chasing after Jimmy Vasser. And that nice big lead that Jimmy Vasser had built up has come to nothing because he's now got Gugelmin and Andretti right behind him again.
But at least he has a clear track ahead of him now. Now we'll see how fast Jimmy Vasser really is. He's been very happy with that car all weekend. He and his race engineer, Julian Robertson. There is Alex Zanardi running a little bit wide there, and one of I think it's Scott Pruitt, off at the notch, the 2nd of the chicanes. Looks like fairly heavy damage, 2 flat tyres at least, and quite a lot of damage on that car of Scott Pruitt.
Yeah, I saw Zanardi taking a funny line coming in. He'd obviously seen something and was trying to stay out of trouble there. And the reason, indeed, there... Oh, no, he's hit Herter. Zanardi's hit Herter as they come through the last corner, and it's caused a massive traffic jam. Papis try... Oh, no, Max, what are you doing? Max trying to take advantage of it all, and, well, that just caused even more of a traffic jam. I think he was being a little bit optimistic, trying to squeeze his way through there, and we surely are going to have a full course yellow with that sort of mess going on. Vasser leads, Gugelmin 2nd, Andretti in 3rd, and surprise, surprise, the full course yellow has come out after a complete mess in 2 parts of the circuit. The first part is right here, up at the chicane, the notch, as it's known, and Scott Pruitt off into the tyre barrier, but then more problems at the last corner when Zanardi managed to get past Brian Herter, but only with a bit of contact, and then that caused all sorts of mess. There's Max Papis, he's restarted, Alans has restarted as well. But what a shame that all was, because things were going rather nicely at that point.
Yeah, they were indeed, weren't they? There's Parker Johnson coming into the pits. Is a lap down because here is, well, there's Scott Pruitt, golly, going over the top of, I think that's Adrian Fernandez's car. And a big accident there for Scott Pruitt. We saw, here is Zanardi looking down the inside of Brian Herter. Herter turns in and, well, actually, yeah.